Alright everybody, what's up? What's going on? It is Voodoo here, and welcome to a special video. This is the Gatlinburg 2013 trip slideshow slash recap video. A little bit different than what I normally do with vacation coverage, because normally I take videos of my trips that I do vlogs, and then I will upload those to YouTube and you can watch the vlogs to get an idea of the vacation. But for this vacation, I really didn't take any videos. Instead, what I did was I took a lot of still pictures, because on this trip we were doing a lot of things physically, a lot of hiking, a lot of moving around, and so it really wasn't conducive to filming. You film when you're hiking, cameras bouncing all over the place and all this. So it was more of a sightseeing picture type of trip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a slideshow of the pictures that I took, and I'm going to talk over the pictures and kind of narrate as we go. So basically, we went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Just outside the Great Smoky Mountain National Forest. I went with my dad. My mom couldn't go, unfortunately, because she had a compound fracture in her spine, so she wasn't able to make the trip. But it was my dad and I, and then my friends Tyler and Dave, and Tyler's parents. We all went up, and we left at about 6 o'clock in the morning on must have been, what day was that? That was a Saturday, August 2nd. Saturday, August 3rd. That's right, 6 a.m. on Saturday, August 3rd, to make the drive up to Gatlinburg. It took us about 12 hours. The drive itself was about 10, but with stops it took about 12 to get up there, and we stayed in a cabin. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any pictures of the cabin. I wanted to, and I kept forgetting and putting it off, and then all of a sudden it was time to leave, and I didn't have any pictures. So unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the cabin to show you. But the cabin was a really, really nice cabin. It had 3 floors, and as you walked into the cabin on the main entry, that was the 2nd floor. And right as you walked in, on the left was a guest bedroom, which had a king-size bed in it and an HD TV. And right to the right of that, across the hall, was the full bath that accompanied it. So that was in the entryway. And then as you continued to walk forward from the front door, it opened up into the main living area. On the right-hand side was the kitchen. Had a stove and microwave and all that kind of good stuff. And in front of the kitchen was the dining area. Had a nice big round table with plenty of chairs to eat. And on the left side was the main living room. You had your couch, a chair, and a gigantic 60-inch smart TV. I think it was a Vizio set up there, which was a really nice setup. You had your Wi-Fi was set up there, and all that kind of good stuff. Animal skins all over the place. They had stuffed deer heads on the wall, real, mountainy. As you walked out from the living room forward, it opened up into onto the balcony, the 2nd floor balcony, which wrapped around 3 sides of the cabin. The 3 sides that weren't the entryway was a balcony there on the 2nd floor, so very nice. And then you had a staircase, and one set of stairs went down and one set of stairs went up. Well, if you went up, the entire 3rd floor was basically the master suite. And I didn't really go up there because that's where Tyler's parents were staying. But I know that they had an HD TV in there. They actually had a fireplace in there. And they had a gigantic jacuzzi tub that was up top there. There's actually a fireplace in the main living area as well, so there were 2 fireplaces in it. But yeah, the 3rd floor was the whole master suite, and then downstairs was myself and my friend's area. We had the whole bottom floor to ourselves. So if you went down the stairs, right at the bottom of the stairs, there was a big round table again with bar stools set up there. They had a couple of board games. As you kept walking into the room, they had another HD TV, probably about a 36-inch HD TV set up with the newest model PlayStation 3, and a couple of games were already there. There was a couch, which actually was a pull-out bed. Also down there in that room, they had a pool table and a very large air hockey table. Those were both downstairs. And then you had a full bathroom down there. You had the bedroom, which had 2 queen beds in it and a walk-in closet. And also the washer and dryer for the cabin was down on the bottom floor. And if you walked out of our doors down at the bottom and opened up onto the lower floor balcony, which again stretched across all 3 sides of the cabin, and had a hot tub jacuzzi on our level, which we used a couple of times after we did some hiking to help out our muscles and just to relax. So the cabin was very, very nice, very spacious, and really wasn't too expensive. You would think a place as extravagant as that would cost a lot of money. It actually didn't. And they had a deal where if you bought 5 nights, you got a 6th night free. So really, it wasn't expensive at all, and it was a very nice cabin up in the mountains. It wasn't too high up, but it wasn't too low either. It was just the right elevation to where it wasn't such a bad drive to get down into the city and stuff. So yeah, the first night we got there, we were really tired because of how long of a drive it was. We didn't feel like going anywhere, so we just got delivery pizza, and we just ate in that night. And then the next day, which was Sunday, is where the pictures begin. As you can see, this picture that's been sitting up here is from Sunday, when we started actually doing stuff. So on Sunday, we went into the national park and we did our first hike, which was a hike to a waterfall known as Laurel Falls. It's a pretty easy hike. I think it was only maybe 2 miles round trip. We got some thunder going on outside, so if you hear some thunder, that's what's happening. It was one of the first hikes, or it is one of the first hikes that you run across when you get into the park. So we decided to go ahead and just do that to start off with. So here's where the pictures are going to begin. This is a picture from just into the forest as we're hiking to Laurel Falls. Here's another picture of some rocks with a tree root system going through it. I thought that was a pretty neat picture there to show you. This one is just of a stream or not really a stream, but a little bit of running water across the path on the way to the waterfall. Here's a view of some of the mountains, as you can see, that we could see on the hike. This is myself and my dad. I guess you're trying to get some of the mountains in the background, but it looks like it kind of washed out. But it's a good picture of me and my dad. There's Tyler doing his pose in another rock formation with some trees along the way. Another picture here of some of the mountains. Yet another picture of really nice scenery here as we started to get toward the top of the hike. There's a picture of my dad pretending to drink water from another running water area here along the trail. That's that same trail minus my dad. I don't know what. I guess that's a rock there in front. They caught the flash and kind of messed it up, but. All right, so this is actually the waterfall. This is Laurel Falls. This is looking down. This is actually at the top of the waterfall. This is looking down toward where the water actually runs to, which is a little pond area down at the bottom. And that's the picture of the actual falls. Really, really nice hike. That this was a very pretty thing at the bottom. Here's a short little video that I took. I'm not going to have any sound on. I turned the sound off, but I did take a couple of 30-second videos of a couple places we went, just to give you kind of an idea. Tyler posing for a picture there, but just to give you an idea of the surroundings of this waterfall. You see a lot of people down there at the bottom. Some people got their legs in the water to cool off. yeah, so really nice waterfall. For our first hike, I think it was a really nice scenic hike, and it wasn't too hard on us. It's Tyler talking about wanting to go down there, which we eventually did do. And when we got to the bottom, here's the picture of the bottom. You can see those people standing up there at the top. That's where we came from. That's where the last video was shot, or where those people were up there. Here's another video. I won't play it because it's basically just what you're seeing in pictures here. Another zoomed in picture. There's me in front of the waterfall. Me and my dad in front of the waterfall. Here's a butterfly that was down there. There was really a lot of butterflies throughout the whole trip that we saw in the forest, and I thought this was a particularly nice looking one, and they didn't really seem to be too bothered by us. They just sat there and let us take pictures. Here's a better picture of him. So this happens to be the last picture I have of that day. Actually, no, that's not true, is it? No, it's not true at all, because I forgot that after we did this hike, we made it back down, and then we went on a driving tour of a place called Cades Cove, which is a pretty popular place in the national park. It's basically a loop road that provides some scenery, and also along the way is a lot of the old cabins that some of the original people who moved and lived up in the Smokies, some of their original cabins and stuff are still along this road. So it's kind of a scenic, historic driving tour, and I have some pictures of that. This is a picture of some of the scenery along the drive. Here's one of the old cabins. The first one we stopped at. We walked about a quarter of a mile off the road to this cabin. I forget the name of the family that lived here. And here's a picture turned around from the cabin. You can see the path that we walked down, and the cars in the distance there. That's the parking lot. We walked down that path to the cabin, and this is the really beautiful view that you get if you turn around and look down the other way. Here's actually inside the cabin. There's the fireplace. You can see not too much in the cabin. That's basically it. And this is another stop along the driving tour. This is an old church. There's a couple of these. I believe this was the old Baptist church. All the original stuff still inside of it, so that's pretty neat. Outside here is a graveyard where a lot of the original family members are buried, as well as some of the more recent deaths in those same families. They're buried out here too. Descendants of the old families, they wanted to be buried with their ancestors, so they buried them out here. There's another picture of the cemetery. You can see one of the gravestones in the middle there says Tipton. That was one of the big families that first settled the Cades Cove area, and you can see their gravestone is in this cemetery. Here's just some more pictures of the scenery of Cades Cove as we're driving around. This was a little pull-off spot. You could pull over and take some pictures. Just gonna cycle through these here. There's a zoomed-in picture. You can see some people there at the bottom who hiked way out there into the field. There's me and my dad again. Here's another house. This one was a really nice house for how old it was. And again, I forgot the family, but this was actually taken at a mill, a processing mill. So this was the actual house, but there was a lot of other buildings around there, like where they used to grind the corn and stuff like that. This is the actual family house. Inside there, you can see the stove and the fireplace inside. This is actually a double. I believe it's a double coop or something like that, chicken coop or something. I forgot what it was officially called, but it was called a double something or other. But I thought it was a pretty neat building. And then here was just a picture of some river here, a stream that was running through. Again, the same picture, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that's the last picture from that day. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting picture, but we'll get back to that one. So yeah, that's what we did during the day. And the first night after we were finished Cades Cove, we actually went to downtown Gatlinburg, which we actually had to drive through from our cabin to the park and back. So we drove through downtown Gatlinburg quite a bit. But the first night we stopped there, we ate at Five Guys Burgers, which was delicious, and then we basically just walked up and down the street. Downtown's basically just a big street where there's all kinds of stuff to do and shops and food and stuff like that. So we just basically walked up and down the street to see what there was to see, and we stopped at an ice cream place and got some shakes, and just basically walked around. So that was pretty much the first day of Gatlinburg. Now, the next day, we woke up to this. Now, as you can see, that's my dad there on the left, and this guy here on the right, we woke up and walked out, and he was talking to him. This guy apparently lives pretty close by to where our cabin is, in the mountains, and the animal that's lying there may look like a dog, but it's actually, in fact, a wolf. That's right, that is an actual wolf. According to the owner, the wolf is part timber wolf and part gray wolf. He said the wolf is only about 9 months old, but it's a pretty good size for being only 9 months old. So we walked out. My dad was talking to this guy about all kinds of stuff, and he was petting the wolf, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was a really nice wolf. Acted just like a dog, but it was an actual wolf. So that was a pretty interesting thing to wake up to that morning as we were getting ready to go out for the day. So then we went out, and the first thing we wanted to do was a hike to a place called Clingman's Dome. Now, Clingman's Dome is a mountain. It's actually the highest point in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. It's 6,600 feet tall, so it's the largest mountain there, and there is a half-mile hike, 1 mile round trip, a very, very steep hike up a paved road to this observatory at the top of the mountain, where you can stand there and look over all of the park and see for miles and miles and miles. So this picture was actually not at the top of the mountain, but this was actually at the parking area where you parked. You got this great view before you even took the hike. So these are some of the pictures just from the parking lot of all the mountains. Extremely beautiful. There's that thunder again. This picture didn't come out too great, but if you can see those light spots there on the ground in the background there that kind of look like clouds, but on the ground, that's actually water. It's different lakes and rivers running through the mountains. And here's a picture of a really big valley in between two mountains there, and you can see some more water off on the left-hand side of the picture. So this is actually at the top of Clingman's Dome. This is from the observatory that you hike up to, and you can see, just hundreds of miles in every direction. You can see all the mountains, even out in the distance. Some of the ghostly-looking peaks way out there. There's another good shot there. Here's me and my dad at the top of Clingman's Dome. Another view. This picture again, it's a little hazy, but you can actually see down at the bottom here. If I use my mouse, you can see down here. This is actually Gatlinburg, downtown Gatlinburg, right here. That I had to zoom way in on just to get, and some of these other settlement areas around the city. So that was pretty cool. Still more pictures here at the top of Clingman's. And yeah, we were actually eye level with the clouds at that height, so I decided to take a couple of pictures of some of the clouds that we were level with. And here's a picture of the actual dome. That's what, when you get to the top of the paved road, you have to hike up this spiral walkway up to this observatory up here where the people are standing, and that's where I took all those pictures from. So yeah, then we decided to do another hike. The trail was right off of the same parking lot from Klingman's Dome, and this trail was definitely the hardest hike that we did. It was 3.6 miles round trip. It was listed as moderate, but it was extremely difficult for being moderate. There was a lot of rocks. This was not a paved trail. This was a rocky trail. Had a lot of tree roots, but we were going to a place called Andrews Bald, which was basically a lookout point where you could get another really good view. So this is on the hike there. Actually, I take that back. This is at the bottom of the trail at Klingman's Dome. They had this rock formation here. After this picture is when we started going on the hike. Yeah, this is actually on the trail to Andrews Bald, but this is actually a pretty cool salamander that we saw just in the middle of the trail, but you can see that's basically what the trail is made of. It's just a lot of rocks and dirt, but a pretty cool salamander. Here's a really good close-up picture of him just in the middle of the trail there. And this is a picture looking down the trail. It was quite in the middle of the woods. As you can see, the trees were very thick. Pretty dense here. They were closing in on the trail, so it was a very scenic hike. It was difficult, but it was really a scenic experience. Here's another picture looking down the trail that we hiked on. It was actually a unique trail because most trails you start at the bottom and you hike your way up to the top of what you're supposed to see, and then you hike down on the way back. But on this trail, you actually, since we were so high up already, to start you actually walked down 600 feet, and then coming back you went up 600 feet. So yeah, as you can see, the trail goes down. We were on the way to the Bald. Here's a picture of the actual trail. We had already hiked 1.1 miles. As you can see, Klingman's Dome parking, and then Andrews Bald was 0.7 miles from this point. And here is a picture from Andrews Bald when we finally got there. Again, it's zoomed in so you can see some of the water down there running through the mountains. Here's a really cool picture that I got of this interesting looking plant with these two honeybees on it, and some more little flies down here at the bottom. I think this really kind of shows off how good of a camera that I really have, and I'm so happy that my camera's as good as it is because I'm able to take these kind of pictures and they come out looking really good. So that was awesome. And then here's some more pictures of the scenery from the end of the Andrews Bald hike. Here's me and my friends, Tyler in the middle, Dave wearing the mushroom shirt. It's a long ways picture. And then here's the widescreen. See all the mountains behind us, and Dave was trying to fend off some bugs there with his hand because there were a lot of bugs, really annoying gnats that would fly around you at the top of this mountain. So he's trying to get rid of those. And here's some more pictures from that. My dad doing some silly pose with me. Again, showing the water. Now, this picture I think actually, I'm trying to see. No, this picture was from Andrews Bald. Okay, so because we stopped at another scenic place to take some more photos, but this was also from Andrews Bald. So this was on the way back. Picture's a little blurry, which I'm unhappy with, but it's a pretty cool mushroom that we saw. This bright orange mushroom in the middle of the woods there. Alright, so this picture is actually not from Andrews Bald Trail. We actually made it back from that. We were really exhausted because it was a difficult trail. But on the way down from the mountain as we were going home, there was another rather large parking area to park and take some pictures of even more scenery. So that's what this is from. I took this picture because they had this sign up here I don't know. I don't think this is the kind of salamander that we saw and I took a picture of, but I just wanted to show it's got. It says that it's one of more than 30 salamander species in the Great Smoky Mountains, and the Smokies have one of the most diverse salamander populations on Earth. So I thought that was kind of an appropriate sign after we just saw that salamander in the middle of the road. So again, here's me and my dad. A picture looking the other way, back across the road to the other side. Zoomed in of the same picture. Me and my dad again sitting on a little rock there at the lookout. So this is the last picture I have from this day. I'm trying to remember what I did or what we did that night. I think that night, because we were all so exhausted because of the hike that we did, we just drove back to the cabin, and Tyler's dad actually made us some food. He made, I'm trying to think what he made pasta and meat sauce that night. Tyler's parents actually didn't take this hike because it was so, it was such a strenuous hike that they wound up not doing it. So it was just me, my friends, and my dad who made the hike, and Tyler's parents went back and cooked us some dinner. So we did that, and we just kind of hung out and played games, video games, and went in the hot tub until day 3, which would have been Tuesday. And on Tuesday, was it? I think we drove up on Saturday. Yeah. So Tuesday, we went up to this place called Gatlinburg. And actually, let me fast forward a little bit here, because I took this picture. This is the sign from the street downtown, aerial tramway to Gatlinburg. I took that on the way back. So unfortunately, it's at the end here. But yeah, we went to Gatlinburg, which is basically like a big ski resort in the wintertime. But when it's not snowing, there's some amusement stuff to do there, and some pretty neat things that you can do up there, like ice skating and some stuff like that. And actually, this building from Gatlinburg, from the street level, as you can see there, it says the Tramway Mall. So there's some stuff in the area downtown, and then you buy a ticket, and you ride this thing called the aerial tramway, which is basically, I compare it to a streetcar that goes through the air. Basically, it's a large streetcar type of deal, where everybody just piles in and stands, and it runs along lines in the air, and it takes you from the ground all the way up a couple thousand feet up to what's actually Gatlinburg, which is the ski resort area and stuff like that. So it was pretty neat. So we're going to backtrack here now to this picture. This is actually up top at Gatlinburg. It was kind of hard to take a picture of the aerial tramway because it was kind of packed in there. They put as many people as they can in there to take you up. But this is the big ice skating rink that is there. As you can see, the Sidewalk Cafe. We actually grabbed something at this place just to the left of where this picture is shooting. It was actually a little Mexican grill, and it was really, really good. It was delicious, actually, because we hadn't eaten all day till we got there. So that was quite tasty. Now, when we got there, there was actually a ski lift that would take you up to the top of this mountain. It was called a scenic chairlift or something like that. So we took the scenic chairlift up to this mountain, Mount Harrison. As you can see, elevation of 3,590 feet, which was pretty high up. And keep in mind, Clingman's Dome that we hiked to the day before was 3,000 feet higher than this. So yeah, we were up pretty high at Clingman's Dome. But this is Mount Harrison. This is a picture. That's actually Gatlinburg, that little town there, in the middle of the picture. That's the downtown street there of Gatlinburg that you could see. This is a picture. As you can see, this mountain out in the distance is the peak of it's actually up in the clouds. That mountain is actually called Mount LeConte, and it is actually the second tallest mountain in Gatlinburg. It's 6,500 something feet, and Clingman's Dome is 6,600 and something. So it's about 100 feet lower than Clingman's Dome, making it the second highest mountain in the Great Smoky Mountains Park. So here's a picture of some cabins and stuff up in the mountains from the top of Mount Harrison. As you can see on the left, that's the chairlift that we actually rode to get to the top. Some more pictures of the scenery there at the top of that mountain. And this is when we were actually riding the chairlift on the way back, and that thing there in the middle is actually over Gatlinburg. There's downtown Gatlinburg again from the ski lift. And there's a picture of the chairlift. So it was pretty steep going once you got to this point in the mountain for the chairlift, but it was actually a pretty relaxing ride. It's nice to be able to go to the top of a mountain without having to hike there, and just being able to sit down and basically being just taken to the top. Was pretty nice. And yeah, there's the picture that I showed, and that's pretty much all we did that day. We kind of took it easy because of we were exhausted from the hikes we did the previous day. So we did that. When we got done with over Gatlinburg, we walked a little bit more downtown. We went to again, it was just myself, Tyler, Dave, and my dad. Tyler's parents went shopping, I think, that day, so the four of us went to Ober Gatlinburg, and then we walked around and we found this little microbrewery that was there, so we stopped in there and we just sat there and had some of the local, me and my dad tried a beer that they brewed right there at the microbrewery, and Tyler and Dave had some other drinks, and we just sat there and talked and had some drinks, and we walked around to a couple of the shops. And when we got tired of that, we went back to the cabin where Tyler's parents had made jambalaya, so we ate that, which was delicious. And then we just hung out at the cabin, played some more games that night, and went to sleep. So then we move on to day 4, and this was on Wednesday. We actually drove about an hour outside of Gatlinburg and went to this place called Tukalichi Caverns. And as you can see, these orbs stuff on my pictures is just dust from inside the cave. Everybody was getting these flecks on their camera. There wasn't anything I could do about that. But yeah, we went to Tukalichi Caverns. Basically, this gigantic cave system underneath some of the Smoky Mountains in a place called Townsend, Tennessee. And you basically just park in the parking lot, walk up to this little house that the business is being run out of, and you just walk into the house, buy your tickets, and then there's a staircase right from the house down into this cave, and you get a tour guide that takes you through the cave, and it's about an hour and a half tour of this cave system. So here's some pictures from inside the cave. This is actually, if you can tell, water down there running, the stream that's running through this cave. This is a pretty cool picture because you can see this formation here in the middle of the picture. Looks like rock that's flowing like water, and it's actually a structure that was created by a waterfall, just constantly bringing minerals and rocks as it flowed down, and finally this structure got so big that it actually cut off the water supply. So now this formation is no longer actively growing. That's what it's going to be. It's not forming any new formations or anything there, but that's a pretty cool structure. Here's just some more of the stalagmites and stalactites. Now this thing is pretty cool. It's called the Floating Boulder. You actually, as you can see from the people, walk right under it on the path. On the right-hand side, this boulder is, I think she said it was like 3 square feet that it's being held by. On the left-hand side here, though, only by 8 inches of rock. That's what's holding this boulder up. And you have to walk right under it on the tour. So it's a little nerve-wracking when you do it, but it's a pretty cool thing. Here's just another interesting-looking rock formation there. Some more pictures of just the inside. Some pretty cool structures. That little area there of all the rock formations they call the cathedral. This is an area that's called the drapery room. You can't actually walk in there. You just walk down to a little viewing area. It looks into this room. You can see all the stalagmites and stalactites that are there. Really cool area to just kind of peek into and take a picture of. I tried to zoom in there down the room, but it didn't come out too well. Here's a much closer picture of that cathedral formation. And then this was actually taken in the biggest room in the whole cavern that was open to the public. This structure that you're seeing is actually barely supported by anything. It's actually hanging from the ceiling by nothing. The only thing supporting it are those two big columns that you can see in the back. And she was telling us that this whole structure weighed about 3 tons, and that somebody told her that some expert came in and said that it could actually fall at any point. Like it's barely being supported by anything, so it could fall down in a moment's notice, and they don't know when it will fall, but that it could. So pretty interesting formation there. Here's another video that we'll just skip. These two stalagmites are really interesting. The one on the left there, that big one's called the pencil, and it's actually 22 feet tall. And the one on the right is called the cactus, and it's 24 feet tall. And they look deceptively smaller than that from across the room where we were, because according to our guide, since the room had a dome top, it created an optical illusion to where these things didn't look as big as they were. They looked actually quite a bit smaller than that. But she had a picture that she passed around of like a 6 foot tall man standing next to the pencil on the left, and he was like very tiny. So these things are that big, they just don't look that big when you're standing there. So here's another picture from that same room with some of the other rock formations. There's that same formation there, and you can kind of see there at the top how it's just hanging off. It's actually casting a shadow on the roof or on the ceiling of this room, because there's nothing holding it back there. This was a little well here that water was running into. People actually throw change into this, and she said every November they'll come by and collect all the money from inside that well, and they'll donate it to a local school, which is pretty cool for them to do. So this was the end of the tour. This was the waterfall that was at the end of the cave tour. We'll go to this next picture here. This is a really cool picture that I kind of got on accident, because I didn't like the way the previous picture came out with the flash. So I said, well, let me try to take a picture of this waterfall without the flash. So I held the flash down and took this picture, and it came out looking really, really, really cool. Just the water there being illuminated by the light. Really neat picture. Probably my favorite picture of the trip, actually. And this is the only group picture that all of us got, all 6 of us on the trip. From right to left, obviously, there's me, my dad, that's Tyler's dad, and then Tyler's mom, and then Dave all the way on the end. So that was the whole crew, everybody that went. That was the only picture we all got together. Our tour guide actually took this picture with the waterfall behind us, which came out really good. And then here's a picture straight on of the waterfall. You can see it's starting to make that same formation that was at the beginning of the tour. And I don't know, she didn't say this, but I'm guessing that over time this thing will form just like the last one did, and will probably cut off the waterfall. So here's a picture of the sign out front, the Tucalichi Caverns. Here's a more zoomed out picture with my dad pointing at it, but as you can see, that little house back there is what they run the business out of, and they have a gift shop in there. And yeah. So this night was actually pretty interesting, because this picture may not look like much, but you can see that our trash is completely wrecked. And in the back corner back there on the balcony, this is the only picture we got actually from the cabin, you can see a big black mass back there. And that is actually a bear. Because 2 nights while we were there, bears actually came up onto our balcony and got into our trash. And they try to put these trash cans in these little containers, but as you can see, they're just plastic. They're not really much of anything. So the bear just walked up and basically ripped the plastic thing apart, got in and got to our trash, and we had to pick that up in the morning. This was actually hanging out of my dad's bedroom window, because this was right outside of his window. And we wish we could have got a better picture of the bear, but at this point the bear was leaving. I guess he was done, and he was walking away. So that's the only picture we could get. I know it doesn't look like a bear, but trust me, that's a bear on our balcony. As you can see by the trash, that's just completely wrecked right there. So that's pretty interesting. That's the last picture of that day. I really don't remember what we did that night. I know we ate in again. We had leftovers. We had leftover food from both the times that Tyler's dad cooked, so we just ate some leftovers, and I don't think we really went out and did anything that night. So here's pictures from our final day. This was on Thursday. We did one more hike on Thursday. It was called Grotto Falls. Not a bad hike at all. I think it was, trying to think, it was like 2 miles round trip, maybe a little bit more. No, I guess it was more than that. I guess it was maybe 3 point something round trip. I think it was 1.3 miles each way, so that would be 2.6 2.6 mile round trip hike. And this was actually the falls. Kind of difficult to see pictures there. We actually didn't know if we were going to be able to do this hike, because we drove up here to do it, and it started raining. And so we actually turned around and we left. We said, well, we can't do the hike, it's pouring. So we were going to go back, and then it stopped raining. So we actually turned around and drove back and decided to do the hike, and it never did rain on us. So we got up to the Grotto Falls, and as you can see from this previous picture, there's people behind it. There's an area back there you can actually walk behind the falls. And so this picture is actually from behind the falls. We went and took a picture behind it, and that's what we got. It's another picture from behind it of the pond that it falls into. There's a picture coming out from the other side. This was actually the trail. This was on the way back from Grotto Falls. As you can see, that's the kind of stuff we were hiking when we weren't on paved roads. Just rocks and a crazy tree root system. This is what we had to hike on. And yeah, it was pretty rough on the feet. Luckily, I brought some hiking boots. This is a really cool caterpillar we saw just on the side of the trail here. Hadn't seen anything like that before. Not that color or anything. And we just stopped off. We were driving back after the hike. We stopped off on the side of the road at this creek here to take some pictures. This is looking downstream. There's my dad again. I don't know why he feels the need to look like that whenever we take pictures, but he does. Here's the same picture minus him downstream. There he is again on a rock. There's looking back upstream. And that's it. That's all the pictures I got of the trip. This is back to Los Angeles when I went. There's the Chinese theater. But yeah, guys, that's it. So that night, after we did that, we went back downtown one final time. We decided, we'd barely spent any money on food the whole trip, because 3 of the nights we had food cooked. We got pizza the first night, so we decided to go to a really nice restaurant. We went to this place called the Cherokee Grill, and it was absolutely delicious. I had, for my dinner, I had a crab cake sandwich. It was absolutely amazing. We had crab meat filled mushrooms for appetizers. I shared a spinach salad with balsamic vinaigrette with my dad. Had tomatoes. and cheese, mozzarella cheese on it. It was delicious. The meal was amazing. It was the one night we decided to go out and spend some money on some food. So we ate there, and then we walked downtown one final time. We actually went in, bought some souvenirs, and then went and bought some fudge, and yeah, that was basically it. And then we went to sleep and woke up the next day, and which was yesterday actually. I'm making this on Saturday, and we came home yesterday on Friday. So we drove all that way home, and that was it. Here I am today. So that's pretty much it, guys. I did forget to mention, we did eat one other really amazing place. That was the morning before we went to go to the cave. We actually went to a place called the Pancake Factory. So we got pancakes and went to a cave. So we affectionately named that day Pancave Day. And so we stopped in to get some breakfast there. Best pancakes I've ever eaten in my life. It was so good. I had an omelet. It was called like the Mexican omelet. It was an omelet with refried beans, onions, sausage, and salsa on it, and it came with 3 buttermilk pancakes, and the pancakes were so amazing. The omelet was good too. So yeah, I forgot to mention that we stopped in and ate there too, which was really, really good. So yeah, that was it. That was the whole trip. It was really a lot of fun. I actually completed something video game wise on the trip. I actually got the I Chose the Impossible trophy for BioShock 1. For those of you who have been around for a while, you know that back months ago I started doing my playthrough of that BioShock 1 on Survivor difficulty without using Vita Chambers. It's taken me months, but on this past trip I finally did beat it and got the trophy for it. And so now I'm doing one more playthrough on easy just to get some of the last trophies I need for platinum, and then I will have gotten platinum / every achievement in all 3 BioShocks, which will be pretty cool. So I did that, and yeah, other than that, we just had a lot of fun chilling out. Different than different than the beach, which is our usual trip. We wanted to do something different this year, and we definitely did that by going to the mountains, doing some hiking, and just at nights just hanging out, playing pool, playing air hockey, playing video games, going in the hot tub. It was really awesome. So I had a lot of fun on this trip. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you liked the pictures and the recap. Something a little different than the vlogs I normally do, but I think it turned out alright. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Voodoo. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.